What's up, guys? Today we are testing out some new stones from KERYE. Now this video is mostly going to be about the stones and what I think about them. We might talk a little bit about techniques on sharpening and little things, but for the most part it's going to be about the stones. So the packaging was really nice. They were all fit right here inside this box. You have two stones, two double-sided stones, so 4 stones all together. Then you have a flattening stone, and they even give you an angle guide so that you can hold your angle perfectly, and you just clip that right to the spine of the knife, and you use that to hold the angle. You rest it on the stone and let it drag over the stone. We're not going to be using that today. I do have this in other videos, but I'm really good at holding my angle, but if you're not, they do send you that angle guide, which will help you. So we have to first drop it in some water, let it soak until the bubbles stop bubbling. So once you put it in the water, you're gonna hear it start making a wispy sound and a bubbling sound. And once the bubbles stop, then you know the stone is ready. So we are going to start with the coarse stone. We have it in the block right now. Let's get started. To find your angle, you can kind of see in a general area about what it's gonna be. You don't have to be perfect, but what you wanna be is consistent holding it. So whatever angle you pick, lock your wrist, focus at the heel of the blade, and as you come across the stone with the knife, use your elbow to pull back. Don't use your wrist. Use your elbow to pull back, and as the edge comes across the stone, when you get to this tip area, you can just lift your elbow, not your wrist. That way, since your wrist is locked in place, you can hold the angle nice and easily. Now, like I said, this does come with an angle guide for you to clip onto the spine of the knife. But if you want to try to do it without that, you can do it this way, where you lock your wrist and just move your elbow. So they send a flattening stone with the package, which these things are really awesome. So one, you can clean your stones with them and then also flatten them, because these will start to dish out. So you want to make sure you condition them every time you sharpen. Just give it a good wipe down, make sure it's nice and flat. And you can also use these for other things like cleaning other stones, resin bonded stones, so on and so on. So these are really cool to have in your sharpening collection. After finishing this side and creating a burr all the way down the edge, you want to flip, get to the other side, and do the exact same thing on the other side. You want to sharpen this edge bevel until it creates a burr and your scratch pattern covers the edge bevel completely from heel to tip, from the top of the edge bevel down to the very cutting apex. You want your scratch pattern to be nice and consistent, and you want to create another burr. Now that we've created a burr, we're gonna flip the stone and get to the next side, which is 1,000. So we started with 400, now we're at 1,000 grit. So these stones feel nice and hard. They're cutting relatively fast. I normally use diamonds, at least not always, because I have all different kinds of stones, but I prefer diamonds with a lot of the steels I sharpen, because a lot of the steels I sharpen are very high wear resistant, high carbide steels, but I still have, you know, hundreds of knives that are in simple steels, mid-grade steels, carbon steels, etc. So these stones, as far as right now goes, they feel like they cut pretty fast for this 9CR. And it started at 400 grit, which I typically start at around 200 grit. So that's pretty good that this 400 grit cut as fast as it did. Now these are stones that will break down, and that's why you want to keep them nice and flat with the flattening stone, because they will dish and the steel will cut into the stone a little bit. They're very hard. Don't get me wrong, they're very, very hard stones, so I don't want to make it sound like they're soft, but they're going to be softer than some stones, and they are going to wear. So you want to try to make sure they wear evenly by working on parts that you're missing. You can spin the stone, work on it in different directions. That way you're breaking the stone down nice and evenly. So we could have stopped at the 1000 grit or the 3000 grit, but we're going to take it all the way to 8000 so that we can test all these stones and see how their 8000 grit finish is. Now these stones, being the type of stones they are, in some cases an 8000 grit is a little bit cloudier than maybe other stones at 8000 grit, but we're going to see. Maybe not. So just know that, you know, with different stones, they use different grit ratings, and sometimes the grits seem a little bit coarser or finer, just depending on the stone. But 8000 grit will always be a finishing type stone. It's not going to be a toothy or a coarse stone. It's going to be more of a finishing stone, a honing stone, something with a fine grit edge. With certain steels, you might want to put a toothier edge on it, like the 1000 grit or the 3000. While some steels can take very fine grits, like an 8000 grit edge, no problem, and still hang on to the bite that you want, especially on a chef knife. So we finished on the 8000 grit stone. We have our final burr, and now the moment of truth. Let's deburr this and see how this edge comes out. So I'm going to do very, very soft reverse edge trailing passes. Very gently. I'm not putting any pressure. I'm only trying to knock off the little wire I've created at the tip of the apex. So this is some new diamond emulsion stropping compound that I've been using from Stroppy Stuff. I normally recommend Gunny Juice. I think right now they might be sold out, at least when I'm posting this video. They might be available too, I'm not positive. But I've been testing this stuff out, and this stuff seems to work at least as good as Gunny Juice. It is kind of expensive. You can see that they're color coordinated, so you know what strop has what micron on it. And right now we're just going to use one of them to clean up this edge, which is going to be the 4 micron. The leather is really good quality leather as well. So the point of stropping is to remove any remaining burr, which is the wire that forms at the apex while sharpening. It's to remove any remaining burr, so you can have a nice clean, very sharp edge, which this feels very, very sharp. I will say the 8000 grit is a little bit more of a cloudier finish than a mirror polish, which I kind of expected. It's still shiny, and it does have still a reflectiveness to it, so it still is, you know, a shiny edge, but it is more of a cloudy, shiny finish rather than a mirror polish. Alright guys, let's test this edge. Now, to cut paper towel, your edge has to be incredibly sharp. The beautiful thing with testing edges on, that's sharp. The beauty with testing edges on paper towels, it actually shows you how great an edge is, because wow, look at that. Ooh, that's an S cut through paper towel. Because paper towel requires the edge to have teeth in order to cut it, but also fine enough not to snag. So you have to have a perfect level of bite and fineness on your edge in order to cut cleanly through paper towel like I am. And you notice I'm doing a backwards cut first to show you that the teeth also runs backwards. So with chef knives, you want to be able to run backwards and forwards, and the teeth on this is very, very nice. Now, everything from this video will be linked down in the description, including the chef knives. If you want to check them out, they do have a bunch of sets, or you can buy them individually. I do like these quite a bit. That's why they've been featured in so many videos. These are my personal chef knives. So, yeah, all in all, I want to say I think the stones are great. I think they're great for medium grade medium grade steels all the way to simple steels. I wouldn't use them on high wear resistant steels, M390, 20 CV, Maximum, things like that. I would use diamonds for that. But as far as S35 and below, this will work great, and you see the results. The results are amazing. It cut really fast. This whole sharpening went very, very easily, very, very fast. I like that they send you a nice little flattening stone. These stones you can also use on your other stones, like if you have veneers and stuff. These are really good for those, for conditioning them and getting rid of the grit that's embedded in the diamonds. These are really good for resin bonded diamond stones. But anyways, there you guys go. Like I said, everything will be linked down in the description. Until next time, peace.